Ladies and gentlemen, get rid of that. There we are. We are back with game number 2, Team EVOS versus Geek Fam, who just won game number 1, which was not really clearly cut out throughout the entire game, to say the least. It's been a lot of back and forth. EVOS, they had like almost 2 sets of racks. And but Geek Fam able to turn things around on the back of their Morphlings. So now they're only 1 game away from actually knocking out Team EVOS here. ESL One Genting Qualifiers. My name's Dragon. I'm still joined by Skim. Skim, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, that game 1 could have gone either way, really. I think it was obviously still well played from Geek Fam, by no means, but EVOS, if they had been maybe a little bit more proactive once they did have the advantage, maybe we're talking about a totally different game, but I think if you're EVOS, you still look back on what you did really well, right? I think the early game was actually not that bad. I mean, yeah, the laning stage, actually, well, parts of the laning stage was really bad. You know, you let the DK still win despite committing the bounty hunter to it. You lose a lot of, you give away a lot of kills on the Omni Knight, but then they transition into a lot of kills from their side, right? They have really good rotations with the Queen of Pain and the bounty hunter together, and they kept that aggression up and made sure that they got all those track kills. So I think this is something that they can always fall back on and think of, well, this is what we did great, so let's just, you know, keep on doing this and maybe perhaps have a more stable laning stage even going forward and not give away those kills on the Omni Knight and not, you know, lose the mid lane as hard. So with the Elder Titan and the Bane, they have 2 heroes that can secure very stable lanes. For sure, they can be really annoying. They don't necessarily have that, you know, that sort of aggressive kill potential that the Bounty Hunter has, but it just provides a lot of stability, and they have a lot of flexibility as well when it comes to laning. They could technically go aggressive with the 2 of them, and then like a 3rd very aggressive carry.
10 seconds
there's lots of potential here, so I like this. I like this pickup here, and leaving their cores open sort of allows them to sort of pick or almost build into any style they want. So I really like this. I mean, if they wanted to, they could even put this as a 3-position Elder Titan. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, they could. I've seen a hero run in the offlane more than once here in the past couple of weeks. But they're still going to be up against a Night Stalker. They're still going to be up against a Shadow Shaman, and that's also pretty good safe lane solo support even. Just that can also set up for some easy kills depending on what kind of core hero you want to pick up with that, right? Any sort of follow-up or even just with other support heroes. Like last game we saw the Ancient Apparition works extremely well with the Shadow Shaman just because you have that guaranteed setup for the Cold Feet to proc and things like that. But now with the Titans being picked up, it's actually one of these heroes that once he gets levels he can withstand this sort of punishments, but you can still get kills with the Shadow Shaman early on. Like I've seen Shadow Shaman Juggernaut combos that can easily bully out Titan in the first couple of levels. So it's gonna be it's gonna have to be careful about that, but at the same time this also means that it is more likely to be a 4-position Elder Titan.
Yeah, for sure. Looks to me as if EVOS wants to play a very sort of, you know, when at TI, right? When teams are facing elimination, they always fall back on these sort of like safety lineups, safety heroes. I mean, this is as safe as it gets. You have the Tide Hunter that just, you know, it's really difficult to kill. You can rely on the Ravage, and then you have the Viper. Same story, sort of. You know, it's difficult to kill. You can rely on a lot of like set of skills. He generally does well in the lane against pretty much any hero, and I think this is EVOS going back and thinking, well, this sort of like aggressive approach didn't work out, so let's try to, you know, do a very sort of like single core almost lineup of 4 protect 1 in a way. And I don't necessarily hate it, but at the same time I feel like Geek Fam, you know, they've shown that they can play sort of, you know, both styles. I mean, they had that 4 protect 1 as well, but they also play really aggressively with the Night Stalker.
Yep.
And this is where I think Geek Fam can strike, and where EVOS potentially might be too passive. I mean, we saw that last game where they were ahead and then they turned really passive. And I think a lineup like this has the potential to just be really passive because you have to rely on those big cooldowns, right? You can't really fight without the Ravage. And I just don't agree with this. Whereas if you look at Geek Fam, what are they reliant on? They don't really need to rely on anything. They can go gank with the Night Stalker Clockwork, Night Stalker Shadow Shaman Clockwork. They don't need the SF right now, and they haven't even picked the carry yet. They could technically pick any carry. They could just leave by yourself. You know, like a, I don't know, like a Lifestealer, like a Deuce or something. Well, Deuce is banned, but something along the lines of, well, just leave me alone, guys. I'll just farm up. You just do your own thing. And how do EVOS touch that? like they don't really have good gank. They have the Bane, ET, Viper, but that's not really, that's not the same caliber that we saw last game from the Bounty Hunter Queen of Pain, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you made an excellent point there. If you look at EVO's lineup, you see, alright, sure, they have ways to take teamfight and do a lot of damage just between the Yellow Titan, Natural Order Aura, the Stomp, and the Earth Splitter can be very powerful indeed. All along that Ravage to help set that up a little bit. Viper, if he gets off to a decent start, then he can do that damage. But that's the only way they can take any sort of teamfight. As soon as one of these pieces of the puzzle is missing, either because of cooldowns, or because they're too far away, or just dead, or whatever, you're starting to run into trouble. And Geek Fam, on the other hand, you said it, right? They have so many options to take to take skirmishes, pickoffs, even teamfights at that point. And generally speaking, that's a very good advantage to have. And then we're not even mentioning this old Clockwork Shadow Fiend combination that that helps you even get off the ground very quickly in the mid lane with these extra souls. And it's going to be useful against the Viper too, right?
What bothers me about EVO's lineup a lot is the fact that they are very likely going to run a sort of 4 Protect 1-ish lineup. But the issue is that I can't think of a hero right now that you can pick in that scenario that really is going to carry the game solo for you that doesn't get killed by this gank potential from Geek Fam. They have the Night Stalker Silence, they have the Hex, they have a lot of burst damage as well. They have a lot of ways to lock down anybody, really. And on EVO's side, well, you do have sort of defensive capabilities with the Sleep, well, double Sleep, I guess, with the Elder Titan Stomp. That's about it. There's no, defensive disruption. There's no Shallow Grave. There's no you're committing to a sort of 4 Protect, again, just assuming this is going to be a very 4 Protect 1 kind of lineup, you're committing to that, but then you don't really commit on the support heroes where you kind of need at least one super hardcore defensive support. So I'm not entirely sold on this, whereas Geek Fam, they have a very solid lineup. They have a lot of gank potential, but they have a lot of push potential as well. Luna Shadow Fiend, that's incredible push potential. They can take stacks, something that we don't really see from EVOS right now. I mean, they have the Titan Hunter, that's basically it. Geek Fam look really strong on paper right now.
Yeah. They just had Shadow Demon and Dazzle instead of Clockwork and Luna. We'd have the full Shadow squad. And you already have Shadow Shaman, Shadow Fiend. Night Stalker might as well be a Shadow hero, right? I mean, March built Shadow Blade last game, so that would fit into the theme. But yeah, jokes aside, you're absolutely right. I mean, they have that push, not just because of the Luna and the Shadow Fiend, but also the Shadow Shaman, which is just the classic, alright, drop the wards, secure tier 1 tower at the very least, and, well, EVOS, they go back for the Gyrocopter, and...
See, what I really hate about this lineup from EVOS is that they effectively, this lineup right now tells me that they're basically giving up the early mid game. They don't necessarily want to force the issue. They're just waiting for Geek Fam to come towards them, and they're going to punish all the mistakes from Geek Fam, which I guess is a valid thing to do, right? I mean, Geek Fam has overextended in the previous game, but so has EVOS, right? That's an issue. I feel like their lineup right now just relies on the Gyrocopter farming, and then they take fights together. They take good high ground fights. They can't really siege though, right? Even if they win a fight, let's say they win a fight and they force out a buyback, or let's say they don't force out a buyback but they're ahead. How do they push high ground against Clockwork, Shadow Fiend, Luna? How do they take high ground with a Gyrocopter Viper? It's really not that easy. So we'll see. Again, this is one of those, or Dota is in one of those phases right now where, yeah, there can be outdrafts, but in a way, as long as the lane's going in your favor, you can just make any outdraft happen, or any bad draft still happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of the good thing about Dota, right? Everything is just at a power level where where it's not just that heroes are just bad and you can't find any way to make it work, but also what you just said, right? You can't even make bad lineups work in the right set of circumstances if the enemy team lets you, essentially. So we'll see whether they get the chance, but I'm still not sold on the Gyrocopter last week, because you were going into details about alright, 4 Protect 1, you need this really hard carry, so I was expecting something like a Terrorblade, right? Something along those lines. And Gyrocopter, a long time ago, he was that hero that kind of scaled into the late game just based on flag cannons, and even rapiers as a non-all-in item almost, or an item that you'd pick up even without having to, essentially. But that was a long time ago,
Right.
These days, Gyrocopter is all about this early game, about these mid-game fights, utilizing the rocket barrage spam, the homing missile spam. That spell has been buffed a couple of times, and is super useful. And also just a cooldown, right? Having that massive amounts of low cooldown spells, low cooldown magical damage, just run over people, and
I think
I don't know. I feel like it can still work depending on how well the Elder Titan are able to set things up. Elder Titan Bane, right?
I think this Gyrocopter pick. I wonder if maybe they were looking towards that hard carry, but it was really difficult to find one. Especially, I mean, you brought up the TB. There's a lot of heroes like that. Even the Morphling was banned. Like, TB was banned, Morphling was banned. There's so many heroes that were banned that would have been really good here. And with this Gyrocopter pick, I think they're putting a lot more responsibility on the Viper now, because they need the Viper as a secondary core. It's not a great secondary core in a sense, but in a way, it almost is a good secondary core here, because it can be the frontliner, right? But it's still a ranged hero, so they can sort of siege well with the Viper. That's not bad. So I feel like they need the Viper to sort of be really strong. They need the Viper with a sort of net worth that we had from the Queen of Pain in the last game, which isn't easy because Viper doesn't farm that quickly. But what is going for the Gyrocopter is the fact it can take stacks. In Dota right now, I wouldn't say it's all about the stacks, but having a hero be able to clear stacks is effectively what decides whether or not he can be part of the meta. One of the reasons why Tiny's so strong is because he can grab a tree early on and take stacks really, really early on and quickly as well. And Gyrocopter does that very naturally as well. And it's the Gyrocopter versus Luna thing, which is sort of, a couple of years ago that used to be the meta effectively.
The old classic. Two very similar heroes, right?
Exactly.
In that sense, right?
In this particular match, or in this particular matchup rather, looking at these two lineups, I do favor again Geek Fem and the Luna in this case, because Geek Fem have the potential to go in there and grab the Gyrocopter. Yeah, you do have the Fiend Script on the Radiant side, but there's not really that hard burst damage. They do have Fiend Script, and with the Elder Titan Spirit, there's a lot of you can if you get in with the Elder Titan, you can remove both magic resistance and armor, which is really strong against Luna. And by the way, we should note that there's two agility heroes or two agility cores on the Dire side. So of course the Elder Titan is really, really strong here, but where's the follow-up damage? Where's the raw physical or magic burst here?
It's not there, right? If that combination is not enough, or if you cannot get it off, then the lineup falls apart, right? That's what we were saying in draft, essentially.
And this is where I think Geek Fem's lineup is. I feel like it's also easier to execute. You have the very easy, the Clockwork Shadow Fiend combo at the beginning already, which already sets you up for like an excellent laning stage, especially against the Viper, where the SF definitely needs as much help as he can. And then you have the Night Stalker, Clockwork, that can do a lot of damage in the laning stage already. Very tanky heroes. So naturally, Bane does really trades really well against supports, and we've seen it in the last game, right? He did actually pretty well in the beginning, or semi-well, I guess. But the Clockwork and Night Stalker are really tanky themselves. They're really quick as well, so they can catch up. And then, of course, they have the Shadow Shaman, which, again, Shadow Shaman, that buff to his base damage was ridiculous. I don't even know why they did that. But it puts him into a range where it's just not favorable to trade against him anymore.
It was so crazy. Like, Shadow Shaman got buffed like plus 14 or plus 16 in one patch, and then a couple patches later he had the same number again, and was like, wait, did you just make a mistake? Did you just forget to like edit it out or something? But no, it was
doubling down.
Just doubling down, right? Yeah. Ice Frog smiling upon this hero, and we've seen him a couple of times, and he is very strong, right? Not just for that reason, but that on top of what he provides you with later in the game, just with the Serpent Wards being pretty decent in team fights if you manage to center fights around an area, which the other team essentially wants to do, right? You want to find around Ravage, find around your Elder Titan, and they're not exactly the most mobile heroes, so having the wards in the middle of a team fight like that can also help shift the balance in your favor if you're Geek Fam. But yeah, they also have the wave pushing potential from the Ether Shock, and not to mention an instant disable from the Hex. Always gonna be extremely useful, especially since it's not since you can't dispel it anymore, right? Yeah. So even up against a Tidehunter, Kraken Shell is one of those big things that people don't even often talk about. But in some lineups, you go on a Tidehunter, you're trying to take him out of the fight, make sure that Ravage doesn't come. So you initiate, you try and burst him down, but then Kraken Shell procs, boom, dispel. pops Ravage, you're all on top of him. Bit of an issue, right? But not with the Hex. So you have this reliable lockdown against him.
Even in the laning stage, actually, they have really reliable
Yep.
lockdown with the Clockwork. You know, Cogs is probably one of the best spells against Titan in the early game, just because it is a reliable lockdown that he can't get out of. Because usually when you have stuns, again, Cracking Shell just removes all of that. You can't remove Cogs. You can just run around them potentially, but again, Clockwork, a lot of high base movement speed and well, first item boots, 355 movement speed now. Well, good luck escaping from that one. So I feel like Geek Fam can choose any lane they want, and probably not the mid lane, but they could probably choose, you know, at least 2 out of 3 lanes and decide, well, we're just gonna win these lanes, and they can do it just because of the Clockwork presence, and because I don't think that the Bane, Elder Titan are gonna be able to necessarily win those lanes. I feel like they could stabilize them in a way where they don't necessarily lose them, but it just doesn't feel like they add enough to actually win those lanes. I mean, I'll gladly be proven wrong, and, you know, Elder Titan against in the mid lane can be really annoying, and potentially it can draw the supports at least towards that mid lane so that the other lanes don't suffer as much, but we shall see, I suppose.
All that is contingent on Bane actually coming back in the first place. So. Admin, though, keeping tabs on the pause timer, letting us know that 4 minutes are left on the clock here for the raid inside, and then they'll have to unpause, essentially. But yeah, in the meantime, we can maybe start looking at some cosmetics, some effigies if they have them. See a single tiny effigy here on the Radiant side.
Damn.
Yeah. Still can't click on them properly, so
Yeah, me neither.
trick it out.
It's a Techie's effigy in the dark base. Kill it.
Ah,
Kill it with fire.
Don't want to look at that base now. Where is it? Oh god, and right in the middle too. Oh shit.
And is that a Meepo? That's a Meepo effigy as well. Damn. These guys. They really...
I am the king of the bomb. Alright. I'm still convinced that this hero will never be in Captain's mode. And I, for one, am not sad about that.
Yeah, not as he is right now. I feel like they still need to... I mean, it's awful balancing a hero like that. You kind of want to make him strong enough to be able to be a viable option, but obviously you don't want to be him. You don't want to have him be the most annoying hero in the world, so that everybody hates playing against him.
Yep. Well, here we are, taunting around, doing the cogs thing.
I believe the optimal number of cogs that he should be able to destroy is, or the
3 per round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he should be able to get 18, I believe. I think he should be able to get 6 rounds in total. I think that was the ideal number.
I think what most teams do is just do 3 in the fountain like that. Then walk together a little bit, wait for the cooldown, do another round, then that'll be enough.
Yeah, I thought about the 18 one was when they still had shrines. They usually use a pop shrine. Oh, that's a dead Shadow Shaman.
Might very well be here. The rocket coming through. Yeah, all right. It's maybe more important than watching cogs die. First blood being spilled by Umbral.
They gave it to the Viper. They realized that the Shadow Fiend is obviously going to have an advantage because of the cogs.
30 seconds
So they need to make sure that this Viper... And they exploited this as well. They knew, obviously, they're going to have at least 3 heroes in base doing this cog shenanigans, right?
Yep.
So... Actually, did the Luna just accidentally kill a cog? I think she did. Yeah, she took away one of them.
Yeah, I think they messed up a little bit. So he still got 2, I believe.
Anyway, but yeah, they... Nice rotation from EVOS, totally knowing that they can exploit all of this. And, of course... Probably secure. Well, actually, the Clockwork is going to steal a rune, so they're actually going to trade 2 for 2 runes.
Still don't think that that was the hero.
Never mind.
What?
Night Stalker with the play.
Got it. Still don't think that it's necessarily exactly what they wanted, because normally what you want to do against this kind of Shadow Fiend play is come in trying to decept him as he walks towards the rune. But in this case, you could argue that Shadow Shaman, he was tanking the gank, but now Night Stalker, well, gonna be run down. It's kind of very sad, slow death right there, which is why I haven't really said anything about it. But hey, another kill on the board. Off to a good start in this early game here. They just need to convert that. They need to keep the ball rolling, especially in mid, because not getting the kill on Shadow Fiend means that he does have these souls. He does have that right-click damage, and Viper, well, can have a really hard time actually dealing with that with the reworked Nether Toxin not giving you that extra damage against full assets, essentially.
I like how the Bane just comes in and just immediately sleeps him. This is what they have to do. They have to annoy the Shadow Fiend so much that supports rotate.
Oh god!
As long as they don't give him a kill. All right.
Could have pulled the trigger there. Might probably not enough even with the stacks.
He wasn't sure about it, and I'm honestly not sure either if it would have been a kill. So I think it was a wise choice not to do it, because otherwise he would have been really out of mana. But yeah, the support has to rotate here. He can't really be here unless. I think the trade-off is worth it if they really do make something happen on the other lanes. But as it stands right now, they're not really doing anything. Bottom lane, for example. If anything, they're actually losing this bottom lane despite committing 2 heroes to it. So I feel like they should rotate somebody on mid lane. They sleep him again. He's out of region. Actually, no, he's shipped four more tangos.
Yeah. Still fine for now.
Yeah,
but one raise, 2 raise. Yeah, he just dies. Last right click, damage over time, not enough. Oh, it is just barely enough. Tango almost keeping him alive there in the end, but well, it's still worth it, right? You do give up the kill, but Shadow Fiend now down to 9 souls. That's manageable.
Not sure if that's worth it, to be honest, because he comes back with full mana again, and now he can just raise down a wave, and he has full souls again, effectively, or not full souls, but you know he's back up to a couple of souls again, and he gets the experience from that kill as well, so he doesn't really miss anything. Oh, he almost gets a kill here.
Stick gaming.
Clockwork's coming in.
There it is. He wants him. The Salve coming through, giving him a decent amount of health points. He's sitting in a tower. Nice nightmare from the Bane, delaying some of the damage. He's still die. Very least stay trade, but this time only for what?
He still died to the poison.
Oh yeah, Shion. All right.
On top lane, Shadow Shaman is also gonna die.
Your time.
What is happening here? All right, so now the changes the dynamic again because Shion can't even TP into the lane now.
Yeah, 100%.
Dying twice like that.
This is so awful for him. Having to walk up here, he's gonna miss an entire wave of experience as well, which is honestly the worst part. Obviously, the last hit is really bad, but he can always catch up. But missing the experience is really gonna put him on the back foot here in this matchup.
Yep. Then you look at the top lane, right? Luna, 17 and 13 denies more importantly, so just denying so much from their opponent.
Yeah, the shadow. This is also honestly not something I expected. Like the Shadow Shaman annoyed the Titan so much that it forced the Elder Titan up here. Yeah. Shadow Shaman has been trading so efficiently. Yeah, they kill him, but still, the Titan has been starved. He's not even level 3.
And he also put a point into Gush, so he doesn't even have the Kraken Shell to help him out a little bit.
Yeah,
that's a bit odd.
Yeah, this comes back to the fact that he's trying to trade and harass against the Shadow Shaman, who again heals like 78 attack damage right now. You're not going to trade efficiently against that unless you commit, to a Gush.
Yep.
Moment lane, Clockwork's coming in. He's getting slowed though.
Try again. Just goes for the mana burn on Cogs. Only finds the Viper. Not the biggest of deals, but well. I think it's still the right idea, though, to just put this much emphasis on the Shadow Fiend. He's one of these heroes that's very sensible to this kind of momentum, this idea of momentum, right? Just, you need to get the ball rolling. If you don't, well, you're gonna have a very hard time indeed, and yeah, he's gonna die again. Didn't even get too many souls. Oh, well,
never
still
mind.
alive actually somehow with with Pam going through. Find the Cogs onto the Bane, and another Storm catches him. They find the kill. Onto both of these heroes, after all. Don't make me a liar. There we go. That double kill for Viper.
Yeah, this Viper is having an excellent start. It's actually insane. Not only in terms of last hits, but also, of course, getting all those kills.
It's 5 1-on-1.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. And SF, honestly, either they commit a hero to him or like a support to him, or they accept that this lane is sacked and they just at some point, just have him fall back with a couple of stacks into the jungle and just do shit on other lanes, like the bottom lane, where they have the Night Stalker getting a solo kill.
Yeah. Little Titan just walking by with like low health, he just runs him down. And Gyrocopter, for going to Rocket Barrage, like if you had that, maybe it would have been enough to shoo him off, but as it stands, doesn't have that threat potential.
Might be able to dive him here with the Screw Wave pushing. They're thinking about
Try
it.
anyway here, they're seeing what's happening. He still has the flying ability available to just get himself out, so can be a little bit ballsy down here in his bottom lane at night time.
Shadow Fiend being pushed back into the jungle. He realized he cannot stand in lane anymore against the Viper. And this is even pre-level 6 Viper. If Viper was level 6, there's no way SF could even touch this lane right now.
Yep.
And no other hero can as well. Usually when the SF gets pushed back into the jungle like this, you at least have like one support sitting mid lane, just trying to get as much experience as possible. But the Viper at this stage has so much kill potential to anybody, really. So they have to dodge this Viper as much as possible. And you can see the Shadow Shaman already trying his best to, you know, set up stacks for both SF and Luna. This is their comeback potential. Yeah, you lose the SF laning stage, but what you gain out of it is you get a really good start for the Luna. You get a good start for the supports as well, like Clockwork and Shadow Shaman, both level 3, which is, you know, pretty good at this stage. And you have the Night Stalker who's doing really well, and you know what the Night Stalker can do.
Yep.
Speaking of, bottom lane.
Come in, he dodges the sleep, still takes a couple of tower shots, now with another rocket flying, can continue to commit for this PH fam. Oh, barely able to make his
flag cannon on top of
almost
it as well.
finishing them off. Oh, they're tanky and good on them here, otherwise they would have died for sure. Meanwhile up top, the shackles from the tree lines, Eclipse coming through, but he's dodging it out. For the most part, yeah, Vil very much alive and kicking. Another Lucent Beam, they can just get the vision, but they can't. Elder Titan with the extra stomp inside the tree line. Can I find more here? They're kind of isolated here. They have to walk by the tower, and Luna, not exactly the most tanky here at this point, salves up. But now it's 3 heroes, Evil even coming back to get his part. Ollie will be the secondary casualty, no way out of this one.
Mid lane though, this might be the trade here. They get the Viper kill, but looks like Viper's fully aware of it. Yeah, this is Geek Fem. I mean, I just praised them about, you know, yeah, you lose the SF lane, but you get, you know, the other lanes. But then you have the failed gank attempt bottom, and then we have the failed gank attempt top, and suddenly this laning stage is not looking good for them, honestly. I mean, yeah, you have the Luna still sort of doing well, but she's getting thoroughly outfarmed by this Viper.
Yep.
And the Gyrocopter's holding his own as well.
Yeah, not doing too badly. 43 last hits. In terms of net worth, they're not too far off the Luna, but yeah, this Viper's a big story, as we said. 4k and him, complete the uncontested lane now. And well, it's a free cogs for the road, I guess. So the question now becomes, like, especially with daytime, how can Geek Fam, like, play around this? Do they just try and dodge out, get as much farm as they can, wait for a second nighttime? Or do they go for a smoke here in an unexpected location and time?
No, they can't really afford to smoke at all. They need to wait for more levels. They need this Clockwork to hit level 6 as soon as possible, really. And you can tell, like, they've been trying to force the Clockwork into the mid lane, but it's really not that successful against the Viper. But they need to get level 6 on this Clockwork, and then they can maybe look for smoke. Because right now, if they smoke up with the Night Stalker and any other hero, they don't really have anything.
Dire's middle tower.
So right now, what they're doing is just, yeah, they're trying to dodge as much as possible. They just gave a huge stack to the SF. And suddenly he's not doing that badly in terms of net worth. I mean, he's 2.5k, which is more than you can really expect at this stage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is what they have to keep doing. They have to completely sack the mid lane and just get as much out of the other lanes and the jungle as possible.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
It also means that the tower will be falling very, very early on indeed. But makes it a little bit more tricky for the Viper to continue this kind of pressure here in this lane. But he's still doing it. Now with the ultimate on to play hard here on this Clockwork. He's just going to get the solo kill, isn't he? With that much of time. Yeah, more than enough. Ollie trying to come in with for the shackles, but way too slow. So they pop the ultimate from Night Stalker. He is level 6 and well,
this is a
forcing him
huge
to turn around. And it definitely is. And also going to give it to Juan. And what? There's another one. Bane coming through. He gets the kill on Ollie with the help of the stomp as well as the ultimate. Gyrocopter saying, hey, I want a piece of this pie. So they're going to get that. Oh, at least set up the Bane.
Oh, they want the Gyrocopter. What is he doing here still? His
doesn't really make too much sense, does it?
His support's already rotated out. They were literally gone. And then he still stays there, even though they knew there was a Night Stalker.
Now top lane. Got a Tide Hunter, Hex, Shackles. There's the Kraken Shell, not really coming through just yet. One more Lucent Beam and right click will be enough to finish him off too. So
this is so reminiscent of the first game, you know, both sides really sort of overextending. Oh, Viper.
That is again Viper. All right, he's still in it to win it.
Right? Surely this is a safe kill. What is he? Oh, yeah.
Could have easily just walked a step to the left and found him himself. But yeah, it kills a kill. So Viper is still crazy. At least they've got that going for them. But yeah, it's as you said, it's a bit questionable.
Very reminiscent of the first game again, where both teams sort of overextending. This sort of like chaos in a sense, where it's going back and forth, definitely favors the Dire side,
Radiant's
because they had
middle
such an
tower
awful
is
start,
under
or
attack.
the SF had such an awful start. Suddenly he's only 4K. He's ahead of the Gyrocopter in terms of net worth. This shouldn't be happening, but it's... I mean, I talked to Gareth. I actually played a pub
Radiant's
recently with
middle
Gareth, and
tower
we've had
is
this
under
scenario where he
attack.
played, you know, mid, and he just keeps on dying, but it doesn't matter
Dire's
anymore.
top
Dying in the
tower
mid
is
lane
under
doesn't really
attack.
matter anymore. If you get, what, 10 minutes in the jungle, you're going to catch up. And if you give him a free kill on the Viper and the Gyrocopter on top of it, yeah, for sure he's going to catch up.
The odd thing is that this kind of playstyle used to be the go-to. Hawkshot and Meteor onto the Gyrocopter, actually. They turned this around with a bit of call down. Rocket flying in as the clock works. He's dropping very low now with the Extra Storm. Might be enough damage on him, but at the very least giving them enough space for the Gyrocopter. Come into vision up themselves, so...
This was another gank where I... Oh, bottom lane. It looks like they're going to get the Titan for free here. This is one of those ganks where I just think to myself, well, what did they really think they could accomplish here? I mean, they had to have known that there was a Crib Wave there. Like, that's just, I mean...
Yeah.
That's just what a Crib Wave was going to be at the time. And they were never going to get off a clip, so I feel like that was a very futile attempt. They didn't even have a vision. They didn't even have a vision there. Like, they didn't have a ward there. They just went for a hook shot there. Bit overly ambitious, but I guess this is sort of a good way of sort of wrapping up this entire encounter here between both teams. You know, just overly ambitious here and there.
Back to even, I guess.
Oh, bottom lane, Fiendscope here, committed.
Dom's gonna miss a couple of heroes. Dire side trying to wrap around and try and get out of here. Shadow Shaman. This is gonna be the sacrificial lamb.
Good clean exit. They really. Oh, wow. Good. They realized this wasn't gonna happen. Top lane. They do see the Gyrocopter. Can
They want to intercept him here, yeah.
Radiant's middle
See him coming
tower
in just outside the Roche, but this hook shot this time that will turn into the kill that they were looking for earlier. But now the rest of the Radiant, they want some revenge. Yuan, can they get the lockdown? Nightmare immediately taken off, not sure about this one. And Ravage to make sure that he doesn't get the Requiem of Souls off. It's only the mini ult. But now, TP in from Shadow Shaman, only coming in back from the dead here. Nice little Cogs, also dodging out the Earth Splitter. March still in the middle of that, pretty damn tanky, but so is the Tide Hunter. Max little Anchor Smash, it's gonna start stacking up, and now Hex coming through into the Shackles. Luna, that's the Eclipse. 1, 2, 3, Lucent Beam into another kill. Meanwhile, the rest of his team finishing up the Bane, and now looking for the other Titan. Stomp still comes through despite the Cogs, but they're gonna get the kill at what cost? Emperor, the Viper, back from the dead, the Rocket will scout out and actually just straight up kill the Night Stalker.
No.
This is SEA Dota at its finest. Just non-stop action back and forth. No one's really gaining an edge here.
If the Viper has a TP, that's a completely different fight. He had to walk all the way from the bottom lane
Radiant's bottom
to here, or from
tower
the
is
jungle
under
actually, I
attack.
think. Oh, bottom lane.
The Shackles gonna go for a fill. It's not gonna be enough though. With the stick jar just keeping him safe, but only just. But now the rest of his team ready to take over. The sleep on the Shadow Shaman looks like Ollie will fall again. Serves him right for having a techies effigy, honestly.
Yeah, once more, just constant aggression again, which I want to say it still favors, or this aggression, right, or these past encounters kind of favor the Radiant side in a way, because Viper has been free-farming, and Gyrocopter, yeah, he dies, but he didn't really lose any gold, whereas the SF, you know, he lost a lot of momentum, and suddenly he's actually behind the Gyrocopter in terms of net worth. In the grand scheme of things, I still think it's good for Geek Fam, because yeah, you know, you have the Luna, you have the SF, you have a very clear win condition here still. You sort of have a lineup that scales better into the late game. But right now, like, for the short term, it definitely favors EVOS, and they did just take a free tier 1 tower bottom. But they might lose one top.
Delay trade coming out of it with the Serpent Waltz committed. I really think they want to fight into this, especially considering that they're completely out of position.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Well, 15 seconds on the Ravage. So maybe they want to use that to try and bait out something, even if it's just a single kill, Viper also hanging around, and well, if they could get the Luna, that would be big indeed down on the low ground. They see her now, and yeah, need the Ravage to straight up right-click her down.
Worthy opponent.
But Militia there, Scandalu falling once more.
I think both teams have done a really good job at sort of like having very aggressive vision.
The mirror image on the other side of the map, at least they're attempting this. The hookshot will connect here, well played for Play Hard, and now Happier should die to this here. By all rights, then it is finally, not before doing a lot of damage in return, and now Embrel with the TP in. Able to make that into a train and even find a Fiend Scrib on the Night Stalker inside the tree line. And 2 more to the tally, so yeah, overall, this Viper, he's the big
bottom.
winner of everything.
Oh, he's missing the raises. Yeah, bottom lane, he tried to go for the kill to the Headhunter. It's good that they kill the Gyrocopter, but they trade 2 kills for it, and they give the Viper even more momentum. It's just not really good. Viper currently is building into really strong items. The 4-staff first item against the Clockwork is really strong here.
You completed Hurricane Pike as well now.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's gonna be really difficult to kill him from here on out.
Of killing Chuan. Next on the list, no Fiend Scope, but they can set up with a Nightmare into the actual proper sleep. Enough time for Viper to get close, but now he's getting some help. Massive is coming through. The Shackles will find the Viper. He needs some raises, some eclipses. There it is. Despite the corrosive skin, that'll be enough damage to bring him down. They also see, got a glimpse of Bane inside, probably. Yeah. Gonna find him in the end, but Ollie, he's gonna need some help here. Not sure what they want to do with these cogs. The hookshot comes close. Finish him eventually, surely. Nightmare's being traded.
It's
taken him a while. Yeah. The rest of the team finished up the Elder Titan as well. So, just like that, again, the tables turn to the other side. The gold graph has been close to the 0 mark for the longest time in this game. Same for the experience, so...
Let me quickly criticize the Viper there. That should have never happened. They should have been able to get out squeaky clean. They get the sleep or the stomp underneath the tier 2 tower, and then they see the TPs. You could see the supports were already backing off. We're like, well, we can't go for this. A Viper walks up in front to drop his ultimate, and that's why he died.
Yeah.
If he doesn't drop his ultimate there, but instead retreats, they all get away. Instead, they lose 3 heroes. And they just get the SF and the Luna, back into the game effectively. And this is, you can't really afford to have these kind of mistakes against the lineup that you've been dominating in this. Like, you've been winning this early game so much, but giving away these kind of kills, suddenly Geek Fam is ahead 1k in terms of net worth.
Yeah. Maybe there was some communication issues. I mean, I didn't quite see where the Titan was in that fight, but he did have Ravage up. But that didn't come out. Right?
Yeah, he wasn't really part of that. And I feel like it's okay for to not have him there because, you want to give him some space to farm up as well. And I mean, he at some point wants one item, although apparently he can't really decide which one he wants to go for. Looks like he's going to go for a pipe first. But if they just get out like there, they just force a lot of rotation, they create a lot of space for the Gyrocopter, right? Oh, bottom lane.
Well, bit of damage done to the Night Stalker. Ollie not caught by the Dust Splitter, but the Ravage catches him just in the edge. He'll find both of these kills. Serpent Walls continuing to whack away at the tower for a little bit longer.
Top
so
lane
damage
ESF,
is
he
being
finds
done.
the Viper. He's going to wind up the ultimate.
Kaboom! Raise! 4-staff down though. Joke's on you, mate. I'm out of here. Didn't even have to change your
he's going to be in revision of this ward though, and the Clockwork hookshot is
Ooh.
available.
Oh, on the money. And yeah, alright. Who made the 2 here is the question of the day for that. Now Clockwork, well, might be a trade. John still hanging around. Gyrocopter dies from on the other side. The Eclipse also a couple of extra beams onto the Elder Titan. I have no idea what's going on anymore, to be quite honest with you.
They effectively just lost 3 heroes because they don't have any vision across on this part of the map. Like, they need vision here. They really need the vision here around that portion. They need vision there because right now they're just giving away so much map control from Geek. If they have one ward there, none of these kills happen probably because the Viper can walk elsewhere, or at the very least, it's only the Viper that dies there, right? Because the Gyrocopter doesn't walk uphill there because he knows obviously there's support there. So this is just not looking good for EVOS right now. Despite them losing or winning the early game as much as they did, they're giving away so much right now.
Night Stalker feeling very strong indeed. Again with the face drums into the Vanguard this time. So even more tanky.
Yeah, they all need to tank up against the Viper and the Gyrocopter. They also it's so easy to take a lot of damage. There's like the flak cannon, there's the spirit, there's all kinds of poison flying around. So being able to tank all of that is going to be very important. And Luna is still fairly squishy actually. She's only sitting at 1.5k HP. So if somebody just ganks her, very easy target. But right now, again, this is the lack of map control because they only have one ward now, which they placed only now. Yeah, it's one ward, isn't it? Yeah, one ward. That's it. They don't have any vision.
There's one on the other side on the high ground.
Well, yeah, but it's
might actually help them out now if they
See, the thing is,
not.
they cannot really commit to this because they don't see anybody else. They have a really good vision over the Luna, but they don't see anybody else. Well,
Hex,
see him bottom now.
Shackle's committed. They really want to kill the Star Cops, and that they will be able to. Another one, Nightmare here, just to keep the Clockwork away. He was looking for the Bane. He got forced out though by the Viper.
Feels like they're overcompensating for that lack of vision that they had earlier in this part of the map, and by having these two wards up. Because right now they need a ward in their own jungle because they can't enter their own jungle. Oh, that's
Oh, there was a hero there. What?
Radiant's
Oh.
bottom
They just ran him down.
is under attack.
And you'd think the Titan is pretty tanky, but not with this item build. Pipe,
Hey-oh.
phase boots.
XD. Alright,
Radiant's middle tower is
bottom
under
lane.
attack.
It's a Shadow Shaman going down at the very least.
Radiant's
Meanwhile, they
middle tower
did get the
has
tier 2
fallen.
though. So, yeah, this starting to look a little bit more structured here from Geek Fan, right?
thing is, though,
you're getting the objectives, you're just starting to work one by one. You use that Aegis the way it's supposed to be used, like the way the Book of Dota prescribes, right?
Yeah.
Just get the objectives on the outside, then think about high ground if you have enough time. If you don't, well, just keep controlling the map, keep the lanes pushed out, wait for the next Aegis. We'll see if they decide to do that off, but if you keep getting kills like they have been,
Radiant
like,
structures
you can just
are
push it
fortified.
further.
The thing is, though, EVOS' lineup is almost sort of expecting all of this. Like, their lineup is... They can hold high ground, right? If Geekham sieges, they have all the means to sort of, like, stop those sieges and take a fight in a very favorable position like that. They have the high ground Ravage, they have the Flak Cannon, you know, Gyrocopter is really good hero to hold high ground with. They have the Viper, which is also a very good hero to hold high ground with. And then they have the ET Storm. Like, they have really excellent heroes to hold their base with. And it almost feels like they drafted this lineup in a purpose, well, where, and I mentioned it during the draft, where they didn't even expect to win the early game at all. And they should be in a much better position because they did win the early game, but they just gave up the mid game for free, effectively.
Bit of smoke here from Geek Fam. Wrapping around, Night Stalker leading the charge with that extra nighttime vision. And
That's a Fiend Script on a
Fiend Script on the
Clockwork.
other side there, but now okay, Colon comes through, but so is the Eclipse. Just gonna burst him down. The Ravage trying to turn this around, but Night Stalker, he's taking most of this damage here in the front, but he's still not even dead just yet. And now Chuan coming through with his own Requiem of Souls. Luna continue to charge forward. Run raise, 2 raise. Not even coming out just yet, just holding on to want to get the right clicks, and they will find that extra kill. Pop the Aegis, because why the hell not? You're winning this fight, you're winning this game right now. With these kind of very deep dives, Luna back from the dead, only a Bane to try and keep them away, and well, you just mentioned the high ground defense. But all of the heroes that make that happen for EVOS have just been killed, and the Bane is the polar opposite of that, essentially.
Luckily, the waves have been pushed out, so they're in, you know, they're going to be up by the
They
time.
will respawn, but they don't even have Ravage.
They should be able to, or Geek Fam should be able to take Lane of Rax.
Yeah.
Again, no Ravage, there's no way they can really hold this, and against the wards, Shadow Shaman wards weren't even committed during the entire fight. Yeah, they can stall it with their Spirit, but they're not going to be able to stop it.
Aggressive force of your pain! This gets deleted here. Now the Colon coming through, Clockwork in a bit of trouble, but
This
no
Jarkov
immediate
is
follow-up
in
coming
trouble.
through
Oh my
here,
God,
especially
he's
with the
melting.
glaive starting to bounce through. What the hell? There it is, the hookshot, they want more!
He's dead!
They're gonna get him! Oh, maybe not, the Force Staff, just barely enough to keep him safe. And now that does mean a Clockwork will have to give his own life for the cause.
That was so close. That was so close. He should have died right there, but that was really nice defensive force up.
Space Creator though, right? I mean, they still finished up the Rex.
Has fallen.
They quickly dispatch of the top shrine as well. So once the next Roshan is up, which still a while, they don't have that extra TP slot. So Geefam still in a very comfortable position despite the Clockwork who keeps throwing his body into them. I mean, it is a 4 position, so it's not the end of the world. It's not like they completely rely on him to be like always up for defense or whatever.
And at this stage, I worry about the potential to hold high ground for EVOS. The Jarkop just has nothing. His sole damage item right now is a Yasha. I guess you could count Mask of Menace as well.
Yep.
Effectively, he only has a Yasha. If he was maybe 1.5 items further, I could see the potential in holding high ground. But right now, their sole damage is from the Viper. And the Viper has issues because not only is he getting kited around, they have a lot of good ways of shutting him down. If they just jump him, what is the rest of his team going to do? right? They have to commit Ravage then, and they did earlier. They had to commit Ravage, but even then they weren't able to protect anybody. So, I mean, it's gonna sound much easier than it really is, but effectively they just have to wait for a mistake from Geek Fam and potentially go for a pick of themselves outside their base, push out the waves, and then try to find a pick of maybe in the enemy jungle. Because if they take a fight in front of their base or even around their base right now and they lose it, it's game.
Well, it's a hard plan to execute either way, really. Because right now, looking at this Viper, just trying to do this pushing thing alone up top, which is very scary for him right now. They don't have a lot of vision. They only see this one extra hero in the bottom lane. Clockwork TPing out though, and yeah, there'll be the Q for Viper to also get on out of there. Almost got interrupted there by the Void. But yeah, I mean, especially in this lane where you can definitely expect Geek Fam to go down next because there's still tier 2 there, so it does make sense to just push it out, claim the tier 2, make sure the next time they get a chance to go high ground you have all 3 lanes free to take so you can secure the megas. Jan maybe has some different plans as well. And the Star, I can accept a little bit far forward here until he just turns around to rejoin his team.
I love this item build from the SF. You realize that, well, you know, the raw physical damage is already coming out from the Luna. With this item build, not only is he very sustainable...
Right, then is the smoke broken though by Ollie with an Invis rune of all things. This is... It's the worst thing that could have happened to them, honestly. Rocket. Not be dodged by the Manta Star, but he's making it far enough away, so Luna will be just fine. But yeah, this attempt, they wanted to go for this backstab play.
Yeah, would have been really good, for sure. But now it is actually Geek Fam, yeah, with the kind of smoke.
Still have Eclipse, they have everything available to them. Everything apart from nighttime. That's kicking in about 20 seconds, so if they want to wait that long, they definitely can. The vision right now, pretty good at daytime as well, though.
I don't think we really want to commit to this right now. Somebody's out of position, maybe, but right now it's only the support showing, and it's not even that worth it, really. Oh, they see the Gyrocopter now. They see him moving into the jungle.
That is, the hookshot will connect to him, and Night Stalker is there to follow up if necessary. Doesn't even have to throw out any spells. Juan was doing the damage to shackle up the high ground. The Eclipse coming through. BKB and a Viper plus a Ravage. Turning this around to Luna. This time there's no Aegis or anything, but to force stuff away, and still super damn tanky in his own right. A catch, Aval down for the count eventually here, unless they have to focus on something else. Juan, they're all starting to drop pretty damn low, but on both sides really, and it is Geek Fam getting the bad end of this for now, as I say that Night Stalker, or at least the one who is still pretty damn healthy left on his team. Who's happy to tank up a little bit of extra spells, forcing them to retreat all the way back to the fountain, and now, well, gotta be careful for these glaive bounds about to kick in. That rocket, can he dodge it? No Manta Style available, so gonna go for some invis plays. I think he broke it though. The Hex instantly, but the right click comes through from the Viper, finishing off Ollie. That's a good start here. Play out all on Clockwork, also dropping low, and so is the Luna. So is everybody here. They still find a kill on the Gyrocopter, but at what cost? Viper, double kill, making a triple in just a second, with or without that Crimson Guard. It's a full 5-man wipe, and they don't lose any more buildings. I'm not sure how they've been able to do that without even expending any buybacks.
So, first of all, that previous engagement, SF had to cancel his ultimate like 3 times. He didn't want to get caught up by the Ravage, and then was a free scope, and then there was a sleep. Really huge, otherwise would have been a completely different fight. Good play from the Bane there. But overall, it was just very messy. The Ravage was actually really strong. It really discouraged Geek Fam from pushing in from the fight initially, and they forced Luna back. And then at the bottom engagement, I mean, they were all pretty low, and then EVOS was just allowed to go back to base, region up, and then come back in strong again, right? And I think they just completely underestimated the damage potential. Yeah, the Gyrocopter only has a Yasha Mask and Madness, but if he hits flat cannons on all 4 of them, that's a lot of damage spread across 4 heroes, right? And then it's Viper just slowing down everybody and killing them and finishing them, so... Bit overextension from Geek Fam, but at the end of the day, they're still ahead of 15k, and you know, it's still really difficult to actually kill them. Like, it took them a lot of time to really kill the Luna at the end there, and that's just because the SF wasn't there. If the SF is there, and all of them have all of their ultimates available and their abilities available, it's a different story entirely.
Yep. Well, we're looking for Roshan just a moment ago. It didn't quite have the damage output necessary to make that work easily. what it does do is force Geek Fam to also just set up around this area. Try and see what they can see, and they're even going for that themselves. They don't have high ground vision here, where the Radiant side is hanging around, and well, continue to throw out stomps. They actually have to go in right now, and that is. The Earth Splitter coming through, splitting the Wicked a little bit, dragging both of them in, force them across, but Aegis is in the hands of Luna. Pops Eclipse, she's still available there. Actually, Viper is the one picking it up into the backpack and now switching it out of it. Actually turning things around. The Aegis triggered immediately after the Ravage has been used, and Xuan also being the collateral damage element of that. So it's all going to be the Luna in terms of the damage output, and it's going to be enough though. They did do enough to whittle away at the numbers of the Radiant side throughout that entire fight around this Aegis being claimed, Roshan dying.
It is absolutely insane how much the SF ultimate did there. Not only did it get 2 kills, but the damage reduction is so huge. It really changed the outcome of the fight, and you could tell they were trying to prevent that from happening. You know, they committed once again the Fiend script to it, but unfortunately the Bane wasn't able to really hold him down at all. And this is the difference between this fight and the fight previously, because previously they were able to shut down the SF, prevent that ultimate from going down, but this time around he gets the ultimate off, and of course, you know, with the Aghanim Scepter, the double ultimate, right? Effectively triple ultimate, because upon dying he has another one. It was so difficult for them to deal with that. And what, they were forced to buy back on 2
heroes, I believe.
2 heroes,
Viper bought back,
and
Gyrocopter bought back, so...
Not sure the Gyrocopter had to buy back though.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, if they go for the smoke gank now, then it's a good buyback, because they definitely need him to be involved in these kills. They need damage, but they need to also find the Luna. They do find her now. Do they have a good way of initiating? They could force to have the Bane in. Yeah, you can see the Bane is already in the front, but Luna's
Too late,
getting
but
away
he's
here?
farming up. Oh, force forward, but from both sides. Another
the triple force
into the Fiend Scope, cancelled though by the Clockwork. He might just offer himself a sacrifice, but Luna just turns on the BKB and starts wailing away. Bane will fall. Where's the extra support's not coming? They don't care. Look at the bottom lane.
Yep.
He's just, even as Catapults help him out, he's just claiming full set of Vex. John on a smart pushing out top lane. John now joining, chasing them all the way. So yeah, you happily give up a Clockwork like that.
for sure. Very unfortunate for them. Just it's just really unfortunate. If their timing is a little bit better, they get the Luna for free.
Yeah.
But just because the Luna positions herself like that, she sees the gang coming and she immediately runs away.
Gyrocopter can't even deal with these with the Mask of Madness. You also need 3 attacks for everyone, so it's like
It really sucks that flat cannon or even split shot on the Medusa. It doesn't auto target those goddamn serpent wards. So you always have to. You can only kill one at a time.
yeah.
Makes it really difficult actually.
Yeah, I think that's that would be a bit broken if you could just split
Well,
shot them
yeah,
all
but
out.
at the same time, it's really annoying as well as a hero, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're like the most farmed hero on the map, and you still have to target them one by one.
Yeah.
It's just, it takes forever,
Well,
especially with the level 20 talent where it takes one more attack.
yep. Alright, so Deadly just continues to grow and grow. About to 25k now. Pretty good mark here, and experience also very similar, about 20k in favor of Geek Fam. So right now it's looking like they might very well be able to close this out in a 2-0 sweep in this best of 3 elimination series. Also forward though, that was an aggressive one I believe from Avil. Unable to really make anything work with that, pushing him all the way to the low ground so you can... Yeah, you have to force the hookshot out. No Ags means that it's still pretty decently long cooldown.
We have the MKB now on the Viper. Really good, a really important item for him in this game. Not obviously because of the butterfly on the Luna, but in general, it just increases his damage output significantly, being able to attack that quickly. And they really need to be able to burst on the SF. If they get the SF before he gets his ultimate off, I think that fight takes a completely, or every fight from here on out takes a completely different turn. If SF gets a free ultimate off, they should honestly not even try to fight anymore. The damage reduction is so huge in this game. Especially with a Gyrocopter that's already really starved for items. If you get your damage reduced and you have like only the Viper left effectively, it's not a fight you can take right now. So they really need to be able to take down the SF, or they just don't fight 5-on-5 in the first place, and instead maybe, you know, just remove one hero at a time and make sure they can't push you 5 with all 5 heroes. But it's difficult because if they want to kill somebody, they have to commit abilities for it.
Yeah.
And if they ever commit Ravage for a non-team fight, Geek Fem will push.
Yeah.
So this is a really difficult position to be in.
And it's also the question of, can you actually find these isolated heroes in the first place? Like, they almost found Luna, as you mentioned earlier, but this is something that's out of your hands even, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Geek Fam, they must realize this too, right? The only way that we can lose is if we just stupidly feed a single heroes like that. So, they're positioning themselves very well.
Oh.
They should probably get some extra vision out, but they have the creep base pushed in to keep them safe enough. So, like, they're not exposing themselves really to these kind of issues. Like, right now, they're smoked up together as 4. Night Stalker already with the Invis rune on in the front, essentially. And Viper, if he comes to farm this...
Oh. Not even going for him?
Wrapping all the way around.
I like this move. They're not going to expect this, I don't think.
Someone's gonna have to come in and defend this bottom lane. Super Creep's about to push in. Alright, there it is. There it is. Blink hacks into the hook shot. Eclipse coming through. Nice little 4-star, double, triple 4-star just to make sure to keep the gyrocopter safe. But BKB up Luna, just not quite enough to finish off the Bane. The Rocket Flare will cancel the Fiend Script with his staff. I'm thinking about the Ravage. Holding on to it for the time being. Ollie, they'll be able to get the kill regardless. Spike check him now. There it is. But Shadow Fiend with an ultimate. Ravage keeps them in place, but where's the damage? It's not really coming through with BKBs. Maybe they can solve this issue with nice little Earth Splitter down to Luna, trying to yeah, heal up with the Satanic. Will be successful. Still very much in the middle of the fight. Jan just jumping away from the backlines. And they're completely and officially out of juice. They have to try and heal up. Still have 4 of their own heroes, but they don't have their racks anymore.
Middle tower is under attack.
Geek Fam, they've claimed Megas, Vil TPing back in, but no secondary Ravage or anything. Sure, you get kills. You get the Luna now. Alright, you get the Night Stalker. Hook shot out on Clockwork. They don't think they will be able to run him down. So he survives, so does John. But does it even matter at this point? Can they hold out against Mega Creeps? Or more importantly, can they push out towards the other side of the map against Mega Creeps?
3 tier 2 is still standing. It's so difficult. So even if they touch the base, even if they reach the base, even if they team wipe Geek Fam, they all have buybacks. It's basically not necessarily impossible, but at this stage it certainly seems that way. And yeah, Gyrocopter immediately queues up the rapier. He needs it desperately. The team fight, the Tidehunter was so patient with his Ravage. Oh, bottom lane hook shot. Is that a kill?
Almost. Not quite.
If the Clockwork has a Spirit Vessel charge, that's a kill. But he had 0 charges going into that. So that fight, Tidehunter, if he's more patient with his Ravage, I think they win the fight. I think it was really he was really patient in the beginning, right? He held on for a long time, but then he felt pressured into using it because he wasn't sure if he could get a better opening. And effectively, I think he gave Geek Fam the opening to commit, because once the Ravage was down, they knew they could just go all in. And I think they needed more than that, because with the Ravage, who did they kill? They killed the Shadow Shaman. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else
anyway,
was, right? He was dead anyway. Exactly. Everybody else was in the back lane. They weren't even in the base when they got hit by the Ravage. All top lane. Oh, if he dies here, does he have buyback?
Ollie's there. Ollie used the.
He has buyback though.
So he used the blink, but a nice little Cox push back. We'll be able to bring him down.
Buying time,
maybe.
I guess.
There's Shadowfiend. There it is. Buying a lot of time actually. 4 heroes next to him right now. He'll eventually drop, and as you said, he does have buyback, so does the Elder Titan, also the Dark he's holding on to it. Viper, far off. He went for the Maelstrom because he needs to. Needs some sort of extra AoE to try and deal with these Mega Creeps. But, I mean, what's to stop Geek Fam for now to just play it slow? I mean, Roshan will be long respawn, or fairly long. But it will come up eventually, gonna have Aegis, Cheese, and Refresher for you. Like double clips, double wards even if you just want to YOLO.
Double Requiem.
Yeah.
I mean, quadruple, I guess, because of the axe. It looks like they don't wanna. They wanna hold out on the buyback. Oh, never mind.
There it is.
It's too late.
So the wall's coming down already. The cooldown does not do anything, and even the Viper that's been so strong this entire game, he's just dying to the, almost dying to the glaive bounces. So well in front, he does have the Ravage to work with, but no one's really there in range to actually die to it, because what little damage you have is being forced back into the fountain one more time. Now, I don't think it's going to go to Shadow Fiend, but Luna coming through with the big Eclipse. Ravage will be dodged with the BKB. They not even going to lose Shadow Fiend here. And, well, it's all over but the crying. GG, well played is called, and Geek Fam will be moving on to the next round here in the ESL One Genting Qualifiers.
Obviously, Geek Fam was the favorite team going into this, right? I think everybody expected Geek Fam to win here. But I think EVOS, I think they showed promise in both games, really. I think they showed that they have potential, but I think they also showed why they're clearly the, I mean, I guess worst team, right? They're clearly a team that isn't as established as yet because of very obvious flaws. They just tend to overextend a lot of times. They don't really know their timings 100%. I think they, in the first game especially, they should have just pushed much earlier with the Phantom Lancer. And in this game, it felt like they didn't know what to do with their lineup once they were ahead. Because it felt like they drafted a lineup that was going to play always from behind, but then they were ahead, and then they didn't really know how to deal with that, and they just died all over the place. It really was kind of weird watching this game, because it feels like they gave up their advantage for no good reason. It wasn't even, oh, we lost like a botched Roshan fight. If they lose a fight like that, I can totally understand it, and it could turn the tides. Happens to the best of us, right? But in this game, it just felt like they really didn't know what to do once they were ahead, and Geek Fam just played it out pretty safely. And even Geek Fam didn't play perfectly either.
Exactly, right? They also had their cracks in their armor, right? Eventually, they were able to just utilize that extra bit of advantage that they have in the shot calling and all of these kind of things that you just mentioned that EVOS just are kind of lacking right now. I mean, they're the team coming in through the open qualifiers, so clearly there's some talent there. We've also seen that, right? They can play Dota. They just need to play this macro game a little bit better, right? They need to find an understanding of how they can actually make the most out of their lineup and out of the strategy that they have. But that'll be not in this qualifier. Again, single elimination means that they're out already. Geek Fam, they'll be moving on to face Execration tomorrow. And that is a matchup for Geek Fam where they cannot really allow for these kind of mistakes that they've had, these kind of overextensions.
The amount of mistakes we've seen in both games, really, is something that they can't really allow to happen against a top team like Execration. In SEA, Execration, Execration is definitely on par with the likes of, well, not necessarily on par, but they're a team that can definitely contest the likes of TNC, right? Yep. They're definitely among the favorites here in this qualifier for sure. So this is where Geek Fam need to polish their game more. I think even in this game, they should have, the laning stage was really, really rocky. I don't even think they should have lost the laning stage as much as they did. And the first game as well, they just had so many individual mistakes where they overextended over and over again. This time around, EVOS wasn't able to punish it, but a team like Execration will punish it. So this is definitely where, we'll be casting it most likely tomorrow, but this is where I think where it's going to be at, effectively punishing those not even small mistakes. There's actually quite a lot of big mistakes.
Yeah. Alright, we'll see how that works out as far as today is concerned. We're gonna have one more SEA series for you soon. That'll be New Beginning versus Clutch Gamers, scheduled to start at the top of the hour. So we're gonna have ourselves a bit of a break, but we'll be back in time for that. So do get yourself some coffee, or some dinner, or whatever you get at this time of day wherever you live. But make sure to be back here in about 20 minutes for the next series. Stay tuned.